Hello, beautiful queens. Welcome to another episode. This one is called How to Stop Feeling Guilty for Eating or Not Exercising. Now, I had a question in my Instagram DMs and I thought I would make this into an episode because I have a lot to say about this. When don't I have a lot to say? And I will just let you know the exact question because there's something else that she asks that I am going to go into towards the end. So the question is, can you please share tactics on how to tackle feelings of guilt when not exercising or counting calories and how to ride the need to binge and purge? Okay, so let me first go into what is guilt. Now, according to God Google, guilt is specified as the fact of having committed a specified or implied offence or crime, or a feeling of having committed wrong or failed in an obligation. Firstly, are you committing a crime if you eat food that you haven't logged on MyFitnessPal? By the way, I am changing the name from MyFitnessPal to MyFitnessFo, just because that's who I am. I am assuming you are not guilty, as in, like, have you committed a criminal offence just because you've eaten food that is not logged on MyFitnessPal. That is assuming you have not stolen the food from a shop or somebody, if you've not actually literally stolen it. Are you committing a crime if you haven't exercised, even though you told yourself you would? I thought not. Okay, so let's move on to the second definition of guilt, which of course is more resonating right now in this context, a feeling of having committed wrong or failed in an obligation. Have you really done something wrong if you eat food that you haven't logged, haven't counted, that goes over your sins or points? Have you truly failed if you didn't exercise when you or your eating disorder told you to do so? The feeling of doing something wrong is very real though. So I get it. I really do. Those of you that have followed me for a while will know my story. But even if you can, and I say this with an if, like underlined, because some can't even see past the logical side that you're not actually doing anything wrong. But if you can logically see that you haven't done anything wrong or bad, the feeling of guilt is often still there. And so I want to ask you, how does guilt feel in your body physically? Because of course, our feelings manifest physically in our bodies. Now, for me, it's like a rush of heat that comes up from my chest, and just encompasses my face and my head, and I just feel like a flood of heat. And also I feel like a pit in my stomach as well. So I'm just curious to get you to connect to your body. What does guilt feel like to you in your body? And also, if you can remember, when was the first time you felt that as a child? And what context did you feel the guilt in? And the feeling is still there, because even if you can consciously understand that you haven't actually done anything wrong, your unconscious beliefs are driving the feelings of guilt. You believe that you believe that eating without tracking or not sticking to your diet or eating processed foods, you believe that that is bad or wrong. You believe that not exercising when you or your eating disorder is telling you to do so is a failure, right? It's your beliefs that are keeping you stuck. So not only that, but in fact, most of us also believe that feeling bad about ourselves for doing something or not doing something will somehow motivate us to change. And then eventually we'll be happier because we would have done said change. But nothing can be further from the truth. All that ends up happening is we either stay stuck in the cycle of setting ourselves rules around food and exercise, not sticking to said rules, and then feeling awfully guilty and shitty about ourselves, and then we continue in the cycle. Or we manage to stick to our rules, but we feel so petrified of breaking them and, quote, falling off the wagon or losing control that we stay stuck in our own prison and we don't actually live. I have a few things to say to you. And as I'm saying these what ifs to you, I want you to just feel them in your body. So notice how it feels when I present these what ifs to you. Just allow them to just be in your consciousness, okay? What if you were never subjected to society's ideology of thinness and brainwashed by diet culture? What if you believed that food was a natural, delicious part of life that you simply can't get right or wrong? What if you believed that your body knows what it's doing, and if you could get out of your own way and build a relationship with your body, then it would let you know when and how to exercise and when and what to eat? What if you believed that your body has its own natural set point weight, and so no matter how much willpower you conjure up, your body will always fight to stay at its happiest and healthiest set point weight? What would your life look like then? Just allow those to just be for a moment. And if you're not following any food and exercise rules, you can't break them, right? This is pretty obvious, but many of us don't even see this. Therefore, there's nothing to feel bad or guilty about. If you're not on a wagon, you can't fall off it. If you haven't created rules and you're not following the rules, you therefore can't break the rules. And I know it might sound like I'm chatting complete shit right now in terms of like letting go of the rules and not being on a wagon and not following anything. But trust me, there is a life that is available for you that does not involve counting calories, counting points, counting macros or sins, or having set exercise regimes. And boy, does it feel good. In fact, it feels so freaking good. I cannot describe in words how free and liberating it is. I know I try every so often when I'm sharing these podcasts, but honestly, I cannot describe in words how incredible it feels to be free from any form of eating disorders, disordered eating, to be free from the fear of weight gain. Oh, it's just incredible. If what I've said so far makes sense, yet you're freaking the fuck out because how the hell can you just not have food or exercise rules? I get it. I really feel you. And feelings are always feedback, right? So what is this feeding back to you? How do you feel when I suggest giving up all of your rules? How does that feel for you? What are you scared of? What do you think would be the worst thing that could happen if you were to stop trying to control your food and your exercise? I mean, these are journaling prompts as well. What are you scared of? What do you think will be the worst thing that could happen if you were to stop trying to control your food or your exercise? And I can confidently say that 99.9% of you will say something along the lines of, I'm petrified of gaining weight. I just cannot give up the control. I will never stop eating. I'll just get fatter and fatter and be miserable forever and ultimately die alone, right? That was literally me in 2018. All of those things. Yet here I stand eating whatever I want, whenever I want, in any amount I want. This literally sounds too good to be true to you right now, but trust me, I thought the same thing. I exercise because I want to, and only when it feels good to do so. I choose foods that nourish my body and my soul. And honestly, sometimes not quite believing how happy I am and how far I've come from my eating disorder and body hate days. I am no longer scared of weight gain. I am at peace and weirdly happy knowing that I can't actually control much in my life at all, apart from how I choose to respond to thoughts that appear in my head and life circumstances. I did stop eating. I didn't keep getting fatter and fatter, and I'm in a loving relationship. And no, my love, you are not the one exception that cannot have this available to live as your life because I thought that I would be the exception too. And look at me now, right? I don't say this to impress you. I say it to impress upon you what is available for you. And if you want support through this, obviously this is what I do. I'm a coach. I take clients on one-to-one and in a group environment to support you through what I have to food freedom and body love. And here are some questions that I would like you to journal, or I at least invite you to journal. But if you're serious about healing your relationship with food in your body, if you're serious about giving up the control and not feeling guilty all the time, if you're not tracking or if you're not exercising, I really invite you to journal these. And these journal prompts are in written form on my website. So every time I do a podcast, I also do a video as well. So that's also on YouTube. It's on the same page on my webpage, the podcast, the video, and the writing. So if you want it in writing, you can go to my website and see it there. But I'm going to ask you quite a few questions now. So how has abiding by your food and exercise rules been going for you? How has it been going for you? Have you lost weight permanently yet? If yes, are you happy? Do you feel free? If no, are you ready to give up this pointless self-destructive cycle? Do you think that you've let yourself go, in quotes, if you stop trying to control yourself around food and exercise? Why or why not? What does letting go, letting yourself go, actually mean to you? And how could letting yourself go be a good thing? Do you absolutely know for truth that giving up your food and exercise rules will ultimately lead to weight gain? Why are you so scared of gaining weight? What are you making weight gain mean? Are you willing to be open to the possibility that you could actually be the happiest you've ever been at a higher weight, like myself? Why or why not? And I would love to share a poem with you by Nina Malosen, and she actually is going to be a guest on my podcast. We've already done the recording. I'm just waiting to release it. I believe it will be in about 4 weeks' time. She's an incredible guest, and I wanted to read one of her poems to you. You can get this from her website also. It's called Letting Yourself Go. He said, "You've let yourself go." Yes, I have let myself go. I stopped wearing Spanx. I stopped counting macros, points, and calories. I said no to the Botox. I let the grey show. The truth is, I did let myself go. I let myself relax. I let go of expectations. I've let myself be at home in my skin. I let myself have pleasure. I let myself feel and rage. I let myself listen in. I let myself not care about what everyone else thinks. I let myself free. What a beautiful poem, right? And another question for you. What is worse for you? Staying in your eating disorder or your disordered eating, knowing what your future will look like, because if nothing changes, right? Or it actually can get worse. Or giving up all of your rules and control, but healing your relationship with food and your body and living in food freedom and body love for the rest of your life. Both are hard, but only one is worth it. And like I've shared with you before, I can hold your hand every step of the way and support you to get there. So just reach out to me anytime to inquire about group coaching, one-to-one coaching. I'm here for you. And I want to give you some tangible tips now to actually stop the guilt that you feel, because obviously the title of this is how to stop feeling guilty for eating and not exercising. So here are some tangible tips to help you on your way to drop the guilt when you fall off the wagon or don't count your calories or when you don't exercise. Number one is get off the wagon, right? It seems obvious, and I know it's hard, right? Seriously, I'm being serious now. I know how hard that is. It is definitely easier said than done, like most things, but it's the only way and you can do it. delete my fitness foe, quit Slimming World or Weight Watchers? Or is it called wellness wankery? I mean, wellness, weight wellness, watch wellness. They've changed the name, haven't they? I think it's called Wellness Watchers now. Anyway, it's still restriction, and restriction doesn't work. They have a great business model because people keep coming back. The CEO of Weight Watchers, probably now called Weight Wellness or whatever the fuck it's called, actually said as a quote, it's a great business model because people keep coming back, right? It doesn't work. So get rid of all your exercise and food rules. Yes, your diet fuckery voice and your eating disorder voice will be freaking out, but that's okay. Let it freak. Remember that that is not your voice. That's not you. Okay. Number 2, practice trusting your body. Your body really does know what she's doing. She keeps your heart beating. She breathes you. She digests your food. She regulates your body temperature. She regulates your appetite, your metabolism, and so much more. If you surrender to your body's wisdom, eat when you're hungry, eat what you feel like eating, stop when you feel satisfied and safe in the knowledge, knowing that you can have more later or tomorrow. Trust that you will want what you need and honor that. If you're stuck in chronic restriction, such as anorexia, and you have no hunger cues, follow a minimum eating guideline to ensure that you're eating enough. And I promise you, your hunger cues will come back soon. Because what happens in anorexia or severe restriction and malnourishment is the body actually stops sending hunger signals. And this is for a few reasons. Number 1, your body has been sending hunger signals for so long, yet it has still not received enough food. Therefore, it stops using precious calories and precious energy by sending hunger signals that are not acted on anyway, and instead conserves that energy to keep the organs alive and the rest of the bodily functions alive. And the second reason is brain scans show that the reward system goes offline for those with anorexia. So they don't receive the same sense of reward when they eat. So there's no drive to eat anymore. So to overcome this, methodical eating, like just kind of literally almost like it's a methodical thing that you get no pleasure out of. Believe it or not, can you believe that I was in that? I've been anorexic for years, and there was a point where I got zero pleasure out of eating. Zero. I cannot believe that is coming out of my mouth. I love food, but methodical eating and eating more and enough, not enough compared to your eating disorder, because that will never be enough, but eating enough, this is why you need support. It will bring all of the hunger cues back, I promise you. Number 3 is mantra up. Now, when you drop the food and exercise rules, you're going to feel bad or guilty when you do a behavior that is opposite of your rules. This is normal. Your brain is literally physically wired that way due to years and years of having the belief that you're doing something wrong, right? There's the belief again. So therefore, thinking and then feeling bad or guilty when you have broken your food rules previously, like countless times over, it's wired into your brain. So of course, when you drop the controlling behaviors and drop the rules, you're going to feel bad about it. But the good news is you can actually completely rewire your brain. So to help this, you can create some mantras to remind you that you're no longer choosing to believe those BS beliefs that have kept you so unhappy for so long. And by the way, belief has the word lie in there as well, just FYI. That was pointed out to me by my amazing mentor and best friend, Rebecca Kiger, who, if you followed me for a while, will definitely know by now. But I want to give you some mantras that I created for myself that I use many times and that I share with my clients. So here are some that I like. And this is to use in the moment when your diet fuckery voice is coming in, you're feeling bad, you're feeling guilty. You can use these mantras to help you through and ride this out. So I want what I need. I trust my body to guide me with what and how much to eat. If I ate it, then I must have needed it. I trust that. My body is so wise and I can trust her 100%. I surrender to that truth. The fearful thoughts that are trying to make me feel bad are not true. They are not my thoughts. I wasn't born with them. I learned them from toxic culture. I will ask my body if she would like to exercise today, and if so, what movement she would like to do, and I will honor that. Effort is not the same as discipline. I am worthy of putting effort into myself if it feels right. I trust my body to do what's best for me. And lastly, my job is to take care of myself, and my body will be whatever it will be. So take what you like from those mantras, have the same mantras, create new ones for yourself. I'm sorry, those that are watching the video, I have a really itchy nose. I'm not picking my nose, it's just really itchy. Apologies for that. Number 4, find evidence, right? To change any beliefs. And just to clarify, what I'm doing here, which isn't what everyone does, it's not unfortunately what every coach does. Most people see a behavior. Most people live in a reality, they don't like their reality. They then look at why perhaps their reality is the way it is, and therefore they see their behaviors and their actions creating this reality that they don't like. So most people, and also a lot of coaches, try to change the behavior to then create a different reality. It would make sense, right? But actually, you need to go deeper than that, because only changing the behavior on the surface, it is not going to work long term. And so this is why I go right down to the beliefs, because at the very bottom, you've got your identity, your beliefs, and then your thoughts, your feelings, your behaviors, and then your results, your reality, right? So you need to find evidence against your limiting beliefs. So what was your biggest fear when I asked you earlier, what are you scared of if you gave up your rules? I want you to find evidence against the limiting belief underneath the fear. For example, I'm going to give you like a spiel of what was going through my head, like when I was imagining back to when I was doing this work. So it's kind of like I'm in a conversation with someone, and it will make sense when I start to do it. So, for example, if your fear was, I am petrified of weight gain, to find the limiting belief underneath that fear, you have to ask yourself a few questions to find it. So, why are you petrified of weight gain? Because if I gain weight, then I will hate the way I look. What does it mean if you hate the way you look? Why is that such a bad thing? Well, then I won't ever be happy if I don't like the way I look. So is your happiness dictated by your weight? Yeah, I guess it is. Okay, so here is the limiting belief that we've just uncovered. I cannot be happy unless I am at a certain weight. Is it absolutely true that you can never be happy unless you like the way you look? It feels absolutely true right now that that is the case, yes. Are you willing to be wrong about that? I would love to be wrong about that, but how? Right? So with this limiting belief, I cannot be happy unless I am at a certain weight. I want you to find evidence against that belief. And you can do this many ways, but my favorite way to do this is to start off by imagining that you're writing a school paper or university paper or whatever, an assignment, arguing a case against the statement, people. And notice that I've changed it from I to people. So you're writing a case against the statement, people cannot be happy unless they are at the weight they want to be at. So it's gone from uncovering your limiting belief. In this example, it was, I can't be happy unless I'm at a certain weight. And the paper that you're writing the evidence against the statement is, people cannot be happy unless they are at the weight they want to be at. So when you take yourself out of it and allow yourself to write like it's an assignment, I would love to see what you come up with. And then when you've done that, I want you to do the same again using your original statement. So finding evidence against I cannot be happy unless I am at a certain weight. This is getting your unconscious mind on board that actually you can indeed be happy without being a certain weight, but it needs reference points and proof in order to create that as a belief to move forward from, to believe in your life, right? So you do that for every single limiting belief. So then you move on to the next limiting belief. And trust me, you will have loads. I used to have loads and I still have some in different areas. That's the beauty of being human and living in a society, right? But we get to change our beliefs. And over time, you will also notice shifts. When you're living in body acceptance, for example, and acceptance is simply understanding that you can't control the reality that you're in right now. You can't control how your body looks in this moment, no matter how much you hate it. It's like looking at the sky. I can see clouds now. No matter how much I hate the clouds and wish it was blue, nothing's going to change. I'm just going to bring suffering to myself. So when you're living in body acceptance, you will also then be available to access body love and then body positivity. Can you see how that works? Number 5 is act as if. I would like you to act as if you already believe the new belief that you want to adopt. This is a case of faking it until you make it, but only if it isn't going to re-traumatize you. And what I mean by re-traumatize you is those of you that are watching the video, I can't even see my own face, I've got my notes up. This graphic here, drawn by me, I'm such an artist. On the podcast, it's basically 3 circles. And to the far left, you've got the comfort zone circle. To the far right, you've got the panic circle. And in the middle, you've got the stretch circle. And then they overlap each other a little bit. And I invite my clients to, first of all, start in the stretch zone. So it's outside of their comfort zone, but only just. And then over time, we work to get towards the outer end of their stretch zone, close to, but not in the panic zone. Because it's all right acting as if you believe something that you want to believe, but then if you do the action that the belief would have you do, and it gets you in your panic zone and you freak the fuck out and basically re-traumatize yourself, it's actually not going to be helpful. So you just need to do it step by step. So it's acting as if, let me give you an example. If your new belief that you want to adopt is, I feel confident in a bikini, how would that confident version of you be thinking and how would they be acting? Do you think that they would think, my body doesn't define my worth and I deserve to wear a bikini as much as the next person? And then would they then put on the bikini and go about their business in the bikini? Is that what the version of you would do who already felt confident in a bikini? Over time, this gets easier and your beliefs will change. Plus, you'll be feeling so much freer, so much more liberated. And each time you do this and realize that you don't combust into flames and actually the world doesn't crumble and fall apart and nothing bad happens and you feel free and liberated, it just becomes so much easier over time. And then you therefore adopt a new belief. I am confident in a bikini because you are. Right? Number 6 is challenge any sneaky fear-based thoughts. So when any sneaky fear-based thoughts pop up, lovingly, and that's an important word, challenge them. So it's not about like resisting them straight away and like being really mean to these thoughts. It's holding them with love and lovingly challenge them, knowing that ultimately they're only there to trying to protect you. It's just not helpful. It's not working. And a few questions you can ask yourself when you notice these fear-based thoughts come in are, can I absolutely know that this thought is true? Has previously believing this thought brought me love, freedom, and happiness? Who would I be without this thought? Is there any positive reason to hold on to this thought? And how would it feel to believe the opposite of this thought? All right, number 7, meet yourself with compassion. Always, hold yourself with love and kindness as you transition through these. It's a huge deal to break free from your food and body prison. So acknowledge yourself, celebrate yourself, and be gentle with yourself as you go through this. And have I missed something? No, that was it. And obviously support is really, really key if you can't do this alone. Some people do, it just takes a bit longer, but the resources are there. I mean, goodness, my podcast alone, I pour so much love and time and value into these podcasts. You could probably recover and be in food and body freedom all by yourself if you're the type of person that can hold yourself accountable and does keep continuing to consume this. And you might not need support. Most people do. I needed support. It's also a fast track way to get where you want to be. And so I encourage you to reach out to support, whether that's doesn't have to be through me, right? It can be through a therapist if you prefer to go down that route. I was considering becoming a therapist, but therapists, as far as I know, cannot offer 24/7 unlimited WhatsApp support. I do, which is such a huge, important part of the recovery journey in terms of a coach-client relationship, in my opinion. And so reach out to anyone who, it can be family and friends who can hold you accountable to support you if you have the knowledge through these podcasts, for example. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is going back to this listener's question. Let me just find the question again. She said, can you please share tactics on how to tackle feelings of guilt when not exercising or counting calories, and how to ride the need to binge and purge? So I wanted to just speak to this a little bit first, at the end, sorry. So first of all, binging is only ever a reaction to physical or emotional deprivation. You would have heard me talk about this before, but if you're new, this is really key. So definitely go back to past episodes and look at the difference between like anything to do with binge eating. I'm going to be talking about this. So anything that has binge eating in the title, although to be honest, I speak about it in probably every episode because it's so key. Any form of restriction, physically or emotionally, mentally, same thing, is deprivation. So if you're only allowing yourself to eat the food, if you're not allowing yourself to eat the food that you truly want to eat, and if you're judging yourself for food choices, that is restriction. So if let's say, for example, you go for a coffee with a friend. I always say coffee. I don't even like coffee. You go for a hot chocolate or a cup of tea with a friend, and they have a cake or a piece of brownie or a piece of Rocky Road or whatever it may be. And you would love to have a piece of Rocky Road too. But your diet fuckery voice, your fear-based voice, your eating disorder voice is like, you cannot possibly have a Rocky Road if you're having a hot chocolate. You've got to have one or the other. So let's say you choose the hot chocolate, you don't have the Rocky Road when actually you really want that too. That's restriction, both physically and emotionally. Let's do the same scenario. Let's say you want the Rocky Road and you want the chocolate, hot chocolate, and so therefore you have both. But the whole time, either during or after you've eaten and drank it, you're thinking, oh, I shouldn't be having both. This is so greedy of me. Oh, I'm being so bad having both. I shouldn't have had that. That's emotional and mental restriction, and that will create an equal and opposite reaction, which is binge eating. And so the obvious thing is obviously to stop restricting straight away. The mental restriction, the emotional restriction can be sneaky, again, which is why you need support with an expert. But at the very least, stop physically restricting. So really the question here is not how to ride the need to binge and purge, because there's no riding the need to binge. Because I encourage you to follow your instincts and your cravings. And if that means a quote binge because you've restricted mentally and physically, you need to eat all of that food. And I know I sound like a crazy person right now, but trust me on this. So there's no need to ride out a binge, because if you're trying not to binge, you're also then restricting physically and emotionally. You see where that kind of goes, where I'm going with this. So ultimately the question is, how do I ride the need to purge? Okay. And this is what I'm going to speak to now. This does take huge mental strength, but I know that you can do this. I know that you're strong enough, right? You've got in this eating disorder that you're in, and it takes a lot of willpower to get a disordered relationship with food. Unfortunately, it takes, the women I work with are very clever, very smart, very strong-willed. They have tons of willpower. They're very dedicated. And this is why I ended up in the mess that I was in. So I know that you're strong enough to do this. So I have, I think, 10 tips for you to ride the need to purge. So number one is to challenge your purging thoughts. As I've explained previously in this episode, it's just the same thing, just in a different context. So challenge with a place of love, from a place of love, challenge your purging thoughts, and then just go back and listen to the challenge your thoughts part, and that will make more sense. Number two, delay the purging behavior. So an intense urge can be so overwhelming and feel everlasting when you feel that urge, but delaying the engagement in the behavior, even by 5 minutes, can make the process seem less overwhelming. And again, this does take mental strength, but I know you have that. I know you all have that. At the end of the 5 minutes, a commitment to another 5 minutes may be possible. And then perhaps the next time you might be able to delay it for 20 minutes. Regardless of the amount of time, simply by creating that space for a delay provides an opportunity for a different decision to be made rather than acting on autopilot. Number three, remind yourself of the dangers and consequences of purging. Something that really helped me was kind of fear-mongering in a way, but something that did help me when I was purging was reading factual literature on the damage that I was doing to myself through the purging behaviors, and also understanding that the purging didn't actually work, in quotes, as much as I thought it did. I did also have thoughts like, yeah, well, that won't happen to me. Like, yeah, that can happen to other people, but it's not going to affect me. And I guess many of you have the same too. But why not you? It's like people who start this process to food freedom and body love, they're like, oh, it won't work for me. Yes, it will. And so when I was reading the literature on like the damage of like purging, what it was doing on the body, why would that not happen to me when I'm human, right? So it kind of is fear-mongering yourself, but it really worked for me because it did start to sink in the damage I was doing, long-term future damage that I was doing to my body. So I encourage you to do that. Number four, write a letter to yourself and remind yourself of your recovered vision. So writing a letter to yourself about why you don't want to engage in the purge can be a helpful reminder. Think about writing a letter to your struggling self during the strong urges. What would you need to hear? What would be helpful at that time? Often letters are compromised of here we go again, Victoria's usual, making up words in the wrong way. Often letters are comprised of validation for how difficult the current experience is. A reminder of life goals, so connect to the vision you have of the version of you that is free from any kind of eating disorder and disordered eating. Connect and write about that, how amazing that will be, how the only way to get there is by not purging. And so talk about other specific action steps that you can take as well instead in this letter, and keep the letter close to you, as it can really be encouraging and it can be a very powerful tool to have in those times of the urges. Also create a vision board as well. That's a great idea, is to have a vision board of photos and pictures of what your self-loving, free from eating disorder, so food freedom, body love life looks like, what vision you have for yourself. Because if you see that every day, unconsciously you'll be working towards behaviors that are in alignment with that vision board. So it's kind of magic as well. So definitely do that. Number five, again, mantra up. I've already spoken about this. So create some mantras for yourself that address your fears of not purging. So if I say to you, what is the scariest part about not purging? What then comes up for you? Again, I'm guessing 99% of you it will be something to do with fear of weight gain or fear of losing control. So go back and listen and work through the mantras and create your own as well, because they can be really helpful. Number 6, reach out for support. This is where a coach, a friend, or a loved one can step in and support you through the urge. But first, you have to reach out to them and let them know that you need support now. So you can come to an agreement with them. Like, if I send you an SOS emoji, or if I prank call you, or whatever it may be for you and the person who's supporting you, that person knows, and have a few people, because obviously someone might literally be in a call, or they might be driving or whatever. Have a few people that you can reach out for support in a group chat, for example, and then they can call you, or they can be there to support you through this urge. Really important. Number 7 is to distract yourself. So write a list of 10 things you could do to distract yourself from purging, so you have it on hand. Obviously, probably not the best time to write this list is in the moment. It's obviously when you're not in that urge to do so. So write a list of what things you could realistically do. So there's no point saying something like, I could go on a walk, when if it's winter and it's like 11 o'clock at night, how realistic is it you're actually going to go for a walk? I mean, that can be on your list, but it needs to have other things as well that are actually tangible for you to do in the moment. And then also put yourself in an environment where you can't do the purging behavior. Why is that notification coming up? That's weird. Anyway, sorry for that. So yeah, distract yourself, write a list, and put yourself in an environment where you can't do the purging behavior. For an example, if after you've eaten, you kind of go and force yourself to sit in the room full of people, if that's available to you, without going to the toilet, obviously you're not going to, if your purging behavior of choice, that sounds awful saying it that way, is to throw up, that you're not going to be doing that in the room, you know? So number 8 is set yourself up for support in the future. And again, this is to be done when you're not in the overwhelm of the urge to purge. And this can look like asking someone you live with, if you live with someone, to stay with you after meals, or to set up a phone date after meals if you live alone, to support you through the urge to go and throw up. If laxatives is your purge of choice, that I'm not going to use it anymore. That sounds weird. Don't buy laxatives. Like, it can be so simple, and laxatives was also one of mine. But I had shitloads of them. But if they're not there, I literally cannot take them, no matter how much I want to, no matter how much my eating disorder is screaming at me to take them. I cannot take them if they're not there. So don't buy them. This takes strength. I did tell you, but you have the strength to do this. If over exercising is a purging behavior of yours, which was also one of mine, cancel your gym membership, or have a workout partner that you trust, that knows that's what's going on, to support you from purging through excessive exercise. So they'll need to be doing something with you, like just one class, and then you'd go home, rather than spending like hours at a gym. If running alone is your purging behavior, and you're like running shitloads of miles after or the next day in order to try to compensate the binge, then literally get rid of your running shoes and sports bra. It can take drastic action, but it's so worth it, I promise you. There's just a few ideas. Number 9, keep track of the days that you don't purge, and have support watching this tracker with you. So the longer your streak of not purging, the more you'll feel motivated to keep going. And the person or people supporting you can celebrate your progress and encourage you to keep going. This worked really well with one of my clients. So she used to make herself sick. And I created a tracker for her to tick every day that I had access to as well. And I got a notification every time it was ticked. So I would then celebrate her and ask her a few questions and all of that, to really cement in the positive outcomes of not doing the purging behavior. And then when you get to 30 days without purging, it's so motivating to keep going, especially with the support. And last but not least, number 10, which is the root of everything and so important, like I spoke about many times before, is to work on your limiting beliefs, work on challenging them, work on changing them, and then everything else will shift from that. Because when you change your beliefs, the drive of the purging behavior it will stop by itself, because it's the beliefs that drive your thoughts, that drive your feelings, that drive your actions, behaviors, and therefore your results. So there's like a mixture here. Obviously, there's some practical things like stop yourself from purging by helping your environment. But ultimately, the only long-term way you're going to really be truly free from this is to change your beliefs. And I have 2 questions for you before I end this episode. And by the answer of your questions is how ready you are to fully recover from binge eating, bulimia, anorexia, or like any kind of disordered eating or eating disorder. And that is, first question, number 1, are you willing to change your beliefs around food and your body? Number 2, are you willing to have different beliefs around food and your body to most of the people that you are living with in the world? Right? I talk about this with my clients, The Matrix. Many of you will have seen The Matrix, the movies. So I like to say I've taken the red pill, and everyone else in The Matrix is living in diet culture. They're being brainwashed, they're being controlled through not feeling good enough, through spending money, through all of that. And then when you take the red pill, you come out of it, but you can see everyone else in the matrix, in the diet culture. The question is, do you want to take the red pill, or do you want to stay in the matrix of diet culture and living that false kind of disordered, restrictive life? That's something only you can answer. And I do not judge anyone who's not ready to take the red pill yet. I get it, but I wish I could like give you, even for a minute, the feeling of true food freedom and body love. If you felt it even for a second, you would absolutely take the red pill. You would absolutely take that step and start your journey to food freedom and body love. Yes, it's hard. I'm not going to pretend it's just like so easy, but it is so worth it. And as I say, if you want support, reach out to me. And if you're with me right till the very end, thank you. And would you rate the podcast if you haven't already, please? I know that everyone asks that, but there's a reason, right? I literally have one-star rating, and all the other ratings are 5 stars. So I'm not judging the person who gave me 1 star. Maybe it was a mistake, maybe not. Either way, I send love to that person. But can we try and drown out the 1 star? So please rate me 5 stars. If you don't think it's worth 5 stars, then don't rate at all. Like, don't lie or anything. Don't rate 5 when you don't believe it's 5. But I would really deeply appreciate it. And then if you want to actually write a review, I'm going to start reading them out on my podcast. So get excited for that as well. All right, beauties. Oh, one more thing as well. I should have the dates, but I haven't, right? I'm going to start talking about it now because it's not until November. I'm actually going to be hosting a free 5-day body love binge. Oh, I'm so excited for this. So it's going to be a 5-day body love binge. It's going to be completely free, and it's going to be trainings, workshops, worksheets, action steps, a private group that I'm going to be hosting. It's going to be me hosting it for you. Everything to do with food and body freedom. I'm going to give a shit ton of value away. We're going to be in this beautiful, private, supportive space. You're going to have tangible action steps and worksheets and everything. And it's all going to be free. So I can't think of the dates off the top of my head. I'm in the middle of like creating it all and organizing and planning for it. But just know that that is to come. And so be on the lookout for things on my social media. And if you have any questions, reach out to me. If you want me to create an episode from a question like I've just done, then feel free to reach out to me. And thank you for listening. I wish you the most amazing day, morning, evening, sending you so much love, and I will see you next time.